All right. We're getting a little closer. I posted a blog earlier today on, it was called Parental Regret Seeking a Compliant Child. And I thought it would be neat for us to be able to sit down with our son Michael tonight and just talk about that a little bit. But first of all, I just want to say I'm going to be posting this on Facebook so I can say it on here. Our website, for whatever reason, Facebook doesn't like it, and they have blocked our website, and there's nothing we can do about it. So if you want to follow us on social media, Twitter is the best way to do that. And we're going to try to start up an Instagram pretty soon and be utilizing that. But unless Facebook wants to listen to us and believe us when we say that there's nothing wrong with our website, it's just going to be it's going to continue to be a problem for us. So we can post our YouTube videos on Facebook, but we can't post any links to our website whatsoever because they just take them right down or they block them altogether. So
well, you can go to the website www.safecnc.com and sign up. You can subscribe. So if we post anything or any, they would get you would get an email about it as a subscriber.
Yeah, that's honestly the best way to assure that you get any updates and things like that, because every time there's a post of any kind, anybody on the email list will get a notification. So definitely, I'm glad you said that. So this blog post, I've been considering doing it for a while, and every time I sat down to write it, for whatever reason, it just hasn't really come together until today. And I just shared my personal experience with fear kind of taking over as far as my perspective with my son, particularly when he was in high school, and how me and Melissa, and you chime in here if you want to. Man, I feel like our approach with him before that was very much focused on giving Michael the freedom to be himself and to figure things out, and it was just kind of something that me and Melissa wanted to do with him. But in high school, when I saw some things not going exactly the way I felt like they should be going with him, and him making decisions that were not exactly the decisions I wanted him to make, I just got scared. And at the time, I think I would say that, or would have said that I was doing it for his benefit, but I think it was way much more about me than it was about him, because of the fear. And I just got way hung up on, instead of trying to figure out ways to walk along beside of and help him to be himself, it became much more about trying to get him to obey me. And if he didn't, I just got louder and more. What would you say?
I don't know. I guess.
But with the long lectures and
I do remember that.
yeah, lectures are not fun for people like us, are they?
No.
But because Michael is a lot like me in that we don't like authority too much, and that's something that is a constant struggle for us. We have to put effort into trusting God when it comes to authorities, and picking our battles.
Yeah.
Because we want to fight every single one of them when it comes to somebody trying to tell us what to do. So he's got that in him, and I knew that about him, but lost sight of that, and was trying to tell him what to do, and regardless if his decisions were good or bad or just not my preference. And but anyway, it became all about fear, and when anything becomes about fear, it becomes about control. And I just wanted him to do what I wanted him to do. Again, that word compliant instead of what I think parenting, what our goal really needs to be. And you want to talk about some of that? So I'm talking the whole time.
I think when I'm hearing you talk, and when I read your blog, I thought a lot about, we've mentioned True Face before, a ministry that we really enjoy the people there and enjoy their message. They wrote a book called The Curing Parents, and they talk a lot about rules and guidelines. And when Michael was younger, it was my role as a parent to give him rules, to protect him when he was young. And then as they grow older, transitioning that into guidelines, those rules becoming guidelines. And then it's more of walking along beside him as he figures out what those guidelines look like for him, and as he figures out who he is. That's kind of how the transition happens. But when that does happen, I mean, it's scary. It's scary for the parent. I would say from that perspective, because it's almost like you don't know what their guidelines going to be. You don't know what all they're going to test, how many different waters they're going to test as they figure out who they are and how those guidelines fit in their life and with who they are. So it gets scary because it's like you're losing control. And then that goes to affecting your relationship. When you leave that fear in there and you continue to try to control and give rules instead of walking along beside them as they figure out their guidelines, the relationship is severed because I'm not trusting him with what's going on with me, and he sure is not going to trust me with what's going on with him when that's all that the focus is on. So I think that's the biggest impact, is how it affects the relationship. Can you speak from like your perspective, Michael, as far as
what it was like when, because looking back, I mean, at the time, I mean, neither one of us could probably describe accurately what was going on, but I mean, looking back when it kind of was supposed to be transitioning between rules and then helping you set up guidelines, and I went back into hyper control, super rules about everything. What was that like for you? What were you feeling?
I mean, I just thought it was part of growing up. I mean, I just thought like, well, now I'm 16, I can start driving. I have more freedom. I'm obviously gonna have more rules. I didn't know. I mean, it's a lot different now because I'm in college. Looking back on it, into high school, it really started about like when I was 16. When I really, like I said, when I got my license, had more freedom. I mean, yeah, I started making stupid decisions like every high school guy would do. But I mean, looking back on it, I guess the controlling part, like you said, started from fear.
Right.
But I mean, I could see that in myself as well, as I was scared to disappoint them, and I ended up disappointing them by being so scared to disappoint them.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned into a line of things and a list of things, and led to more lectures, which I hated. And I mean, it was just me. I mean, it wasn't just me, but it was just a combination of everything.
So you experienced fear of disappointing me and her, but it drove you to try not to do that, or did it try to drive you away from, or did it do some of both?
Some of both. I'm a people pleaser, so I mean, it goes in all areas of my life. It goes back to running, cross country, track. That was a big part of my life for 6-7 years. I think that played a big part in the whole pleasing my family, pleasing myself, when really I was just focused on pleasing everybody else. Even when I didn't like it that much, I still made myself do it. I like winning. Obviously, everybody likes winning. Found something I was good at, and it affected me a lot, especially in high school, facing other chances to do other things. I felt like cross country or track was just another barrier. Like, I'm stuck in this. Like, it turned from fun, something I love to do, to a job that I just found myself there, and I had to run every day. And he stayed on me about it, which is, every dad does that. That's great, but I just felt pressure. Like, it turned into a job. I got a trainer. I mean, it just started turning into, like, I didn't like it anymore.
You couldn't enjoy it.
Couldn't enjoy it. And that played a big part in it. I started skipping practice some. It just that led to a bunch of arguments. It's just fear really does mess up a lot of things in everybody's life, and I'm now looking back at that. That was a big part of fear. And it wasn't just, oh, I love cross country. I'm gonna keep doing it. No, it became an identity. It became something I was known for. So I felt like I had to do this. If I quit this, my family's gonna be disappointed.
Very interesting.
So our control was out of fear, and that led to you performing for us to keep trying to keep our fear, keep us calm.
Our fear inflated his fear.
Right.
And also within myself, like, I mean, if I had a bad race, I mean, nobody wanted to talk to me after a bad race. I mean, I hated having a bad race. That was for myself, but also looking back at it, I was also, man, my family's here. Man, I just ran a terrible race. I suck. That's the first thing that pops in my head is my family's here. They all saw me suck. I mean, but then when I win, first thing I'll do is I'll run to these two. I'll run to them like happy. I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When I worked hard for senior year regionals, that's probably one of the best days of my life. And he was the first person I ran to. So, I mean, it's a lot of things. It could lead to a joyful time like that. I mean, everything's great. And then it could lead to a downfall. A lot of lectures. It's just, there's no in between. You can't win with fear either way.
No, because everything's riding on your performance.
Exactly.
And that's where I lost sight of who you were. Because we've always known, it's interesting, I wore this shirt my buddy Lavelle gave me. Introvert, I come, I see, I leave early, because I'm an introvert, so that's accurate. He is not an introvert at all, not even close. He is the opposite of introvert, super extrovert. And I've known that about him, and being an extrovert, he loves people, he just loves life. I think I put in the blog post that he can break free from routine and just enjoy the moment, something I struggle with. And I know these things about him, but I stifled that or tried to. I think I did during that high school, those dark days of our relationship, as I called them.
He had to be a different person around.
He tried to be, yeah.
Right.
Tried to be
When
what he thought I wanted.
like that,
right. And I lost the most important thing. I don't want to miss saying that on this video. And I think we have that now. It's the trust. I can go to him and tell him things about me and be real with him about me, and I want him to be that way with me. The trust is, there's just, the more I experience this and look at this with him and with Melissa and with whoever in my life, there's just nothing like it. If you trust somebody, if they trust you, and the humility that's involved in that, and sharing all the good things that a relationship can be, come from that. And I mean, the love is experienced. I can have our truth-based friends would say, I can have all the love in the world from Melissa, but if she doesn't trust that love, if she doesn't let it in, she doesn't experience it. So that trust is key. And kind of tying that into how that looks with God, I mean, it's a very good illustration of, I think, our relationship showed how that could go sour when the trust is not there. But with God, I mean, he really wants us, not desperately, but lovingly wants us to trust him, and he puts a whole lot of effort into wooing us into that, because he knows if we trust him with us, we get to experience his love, and then we get to share that love. One of the things that I was not doing during his part of his high school days, was I was not trusting God with much as far as he goes, and wasn't trusting that if he made decisions that didn't go along with what I want, that it would be okay, that God was there, and that the trust and the love would be enough to carry us through that. So I wanted to make sure I got that part in there, and I'm kind of getting tired, so I think my mind's shutting down, so I can't think of something else to say.
Coming up on almost 15 minutes anyway.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
definitely go to the website and subscribe. So
There's
if
something
you
you want to
receive
say?
any updates.
I was just gonna go over what we had said about if there's, I mean, if there's any teenage viewers that think you're going through a rough time with your parents. I was there in high school. I felt like before college, I was like, if I don't fix this now, it's not gonna work. Me and my parents are not gonna have a relationship. I'm gonna go off to college. They're gonna be out of my life, and that didn't happen. And things changed. Things turned for the better. Now I can trust him with anything. I come to him on my darkest day. I still remember what it was. I came to him, was not scared, knew he would be there for me, and he was. Wasn't I mean, I was not scared of the repercussions. I wasn't scared he was gonna yell at me. He helped me through it. And now looking back in high school, I'm glad I went through those times so I can see these times. There is an end to it, and it's not always gonna be bad. So don't think that this is the end. You always want a good relationship with your parents. And that's the lesson I want you to take from this, pretty much.
Yeah, praise the Lord for His grace and love in our lives, because that's the only reason we have what we have. Because after those high school days and what I did, there was a lot of damage done, but His grace and love is enough to heal that up. So, but thanks. Is there anything else? I kind of cut you off, but I saw you wanted to say something. So.
No, that's
Okay.
it.
All right. Well, that's it. Talk to you later.